So I noticed a rather interesting trend throughout the comments section of my latest video, the review on the upcoming box Sign of Harpies. For some reason, one particular card has made people act like the world is ending. Like, come on guys, Konami is not releasing Dragoon yet. Now the card I'm talking about is of course Lightning Vortex. As you can probably tell from the start of this video, it's baiting a lot of people into panicking. And I'm here to tell you right now, this card will probably not see much play outside of the first week or so. But before I tell you why, this channel is currently only 50 subscribers away from reaching 40,000. So if you do enjoy my content and want to help me reach that milestone, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, so whenever I post, it's completely free and you can unsub it anytime. Alright, so how can I confidently state that I think Lightning Vortex will receive very little play outside of the first week testers? Well honestly, this is one of the easier debates I've had to go through, as this card is so similar to another card we already have in game that drawing a comparison here is extremely obvious, and I'm sure half the people watching right now already know the card I'm about to bring up. Special Hurricane. Now, before the sweats head down to the comment section and type me out an essay about why Vortex is obviously better than Hurricane, let's do a comparison of the two cards. Both have the exact same cost. Discard one card. Both had the effect of potentially destroying your opponent's entire board. So where are the differences? Well, obviously the main difference is Hurricane destroys your own board, not just your opponent's, whereas Vortex does not. Hurricane also only hits special summoned monsters, but let's be honest here, I don't really need to include this point as there are very few decks that don't special summon. If anything, it's not a downside but a bonus, as it allows you to play it in decks that don't. And the final key difference is Vortex can only destroy face-up monsters, so it's quite susceptible to Book of Moon. But again, I don't really think I need to include this, as 99% of the time your opponent's monsters are face-up, and even when they do have the Book of Moon, a face-down monster is a lot weaker than a face-up one, and it forced the Book of Moon out of your opponent anyway, so it definitely did its job. So that only leaves us with one significant difference to focus on. Hurricane destroys your own board, whereas Vortex does not. So how significant is this difference? Well, if you draw either card in your opening hand going first, it does absolutely nothing, as your opponent's board is already empty, since he hasn't gotten to play yet. If you draw either card going second, your opponent will have a board for you to destroy, but obviously, again, you won't, as you haven't played anything. So this means Hurricane will do the exact same thing as Vortex. Therefore there's zero difference going first or second with either card. So when exactly does the difference matter? The answer is, it really doesn't. Even later on in the game, when you have a board and your opponent has a board, if it's during your turn, which it has to be for you to use the card, you should be in the driver's seat anyway. You should be able to use your monsters and effects to remove your opponent's stuff even without the spell. Obviously, it can help you OTK, but at that point it's just a win more card, as like I said, if it's during your turn and you have monsters on board, chances are you're in a position to clear your opponent's board anyway, without the spell. And if you don't have monsters on board to clear your opponent's stuff, it's exactly the same spell. There's no difference. Now after saying all that, does that mean the card is bad? Well, no. I've just spent the last few minutes explaining why Vortex and Hurricane basically have no difference in the situations they are used. So now we can just use that information to show you guys the actual strengths of the card. So if we establish that Hurricane is basically the same as Vortex, we can simply go take a look and see what decks currently use Hurricane. None. But hang on, what are all these deck lists then? Well, to put it simply, in a tournament format right now, this actually sees a ton of use, but only as a side deck card. I mean, the card is certainly not a bad card, but it's extremely matchup specific, to a point where you don't run this card as a starting card in your deck. It's something you put in there when it favours your matchup, or depending on if you go first or second. Although I don't think Duel Links lets you choose whether you go first or second in these tournaments, so I assume it's only matchup based in this case. So for general ladder play, as you can see from the popular rankings tab in game, the card simply doesn't exist, as ladder play is completely best of one and there is no side deck, so running a card that's mostly matchup dependent and only really useful going second anyway, just isn't worth your time. Although in saying all this, I'm not sure how much I can rely on the in-game tab for this data anyway, as somehow Power of the Guardians has crept its way back up. So if you haven't seen my previous Don't Run This Card, It's a Bait video and you run Power of the Guardians yourself, please go watch it, and for the love of God, stop running Power of the Guardians in your deck. So where does this leave us? Well, back on topic, if we've established that Vortex is basically the same as Hurricane, and we've established that Hurricane at the moment doesn't really see any play outside of tournament side decks, it's pretty safe to assume that although it's a slight upgrade, it's most likely still not going to be played at all. Some people might try it out for the first couple of weeks, but after that, unless it's discovered that it's the perfect meta for it, in which case this video will make me look silly, most of the time it's probably just going to be a replacement for Hurricane in tournament decks, and your ladder play will never see it, so you'll never have to worry about it, and you can go back to complaining about Karma Cut. Alright guys, that's it for this little rant video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content from me. Thank you for watching, and remember, stop playing Power of the Guardians. Also, I want this video to get a bit more watch time, so enjoy this random gameplay. Laters.
Duel.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.